Have you always wondered how to make a bas-relief cookie with royal icing? Have you? Because if you have, this is the tutorial for you. First of all, you will need a cookie. I've already sketched my cookie on my picture on my cookie, not my cookie on my picture. That would be horrible. If you aren't able to just draw it out by hand, I will leave a link in the description to a video that I show you how to make a projector with a box, so you don't have to spend thousands of rands or a couple of dollars on a projector that you might never use. Who knows these things? So that I've got a picture, some brushes, a pointy one and a broad one, some clean water. I'll be using some of this metallic from Crystal Candy. This one is an Emperor's Gold, some gold leaf and thick royal icing, a thick consistency. And some scissors to cut a hole, and a clean cloth to keep cleaning everything all the time. So that, let's start. I'm just open this water. There we go. I will add some kitchen towel next to my water, where I can just clean my brush off all the time, because we want a damp brush for this, not a wet one. So the gold powder and stuff can go to the side for now. We will start off with the gold leaf, as it's best to start in the background and move to the foreground. Anyway, so I will be painting my leaves as I want my leaves to be gold leaf. I left this smudge here, you guys, especially for you. If you've drawn on your cookie and you made a boo-boo, because it happens, just take a clean damp cloth and wipe it off. And just let it dry before you go and drawing on it again. Before I forget. That's okay. So I am making these leaves pretty wet, because I want the gold leaf to stick to it. But not so wet that it's impossible to work with. So I think the golden rule with that is to make the sugar wet, and you know sugar absorbs water pretty quickly. So I will start with a couple of these leaves, and I'll make them quite wet, but I'm going to leave them for a few seconds, and you'll see, like, you will see it becomes a bit matte. The shine goes away and it becomes a bit matte when it's ready to go. Then I will take my gold leaf. And when I do this, I try not to breathe too much. So you can cut it out. Oopsie. There we go. You can cut pieces out and like on here and just add it in. Or I'll be puzzling mine today. Come. Gold leaf. I know in South Africa you can get this at Crystal Candy. I'm sure there's a bunch of other places. I just don't know all of them. I'm sure Google does. I'm just nicking that one and adding it here. So now there's two ways to go about this. If you want a very neat look, then you'll just add them and leave them. But if you want a more vintage rugged look, you can rub your brush up and down, as I'll show you in a minute. And just add gold leaf to that part. Go there now. Okay, I think I'm covered. So I've got a very soft, fluffy brush. I'm just gonna go and brush over so the parts that didn't stick should come off. I think I should have left this for a few more seconds. Yep, I should have left this for a few more seconds, but I don't want to. That's fine. Just gonna go over with my brush. So I am pressing down because I want it to kind of break up a little bit, as I like the vintage look. But that's too much. I don't want that much. But it's not the end of the world. Also, I will take this part of this brush and just wipe over where I want to get rid of the gold to show where the leaves are going. I just want to push these so that they break up a little bit. Those ones can stay as is. So that's the gold leaf for now, sort of. I need to finish that one on top before we continue. So that's also gonna be gold leaf, and this little part here is gonna be gold leaf. And I think I'll add some back here. Let's just go over this and add some more on top of it. You see, these things just float. Okay, you can go there just because it's on my finger. Okay, there we go. Now I have to get rid of this banana. Okay, stay. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we've got that in place. Now I'm going to start from the outside going in and back to front. Let me just cut this open. So you can see it's not too thick, but it's not extremely thin either. I'm going to start with my leaves in the back, and you'll see that I will kind of not go all the way into the where it ends to the inside. I will stop halfway because we're going to build it from up to down. Nay? So I'm going to add another squiggly there. I'm going to take a wet brush, damp it off, and just pull the icing down. This is very much like the lace technique, but not completely. So don't be like, oh, I know exactly what you're doing, because no, it's not that. It's a little bit similar in some ways, but not completely. So I want a thin, like 1/2 ml of icing at the end here, so that it's a complete leaf. Oh, brush embroidery, that's what I was thinking of. It's not brush embroidery. So that's another outside leaf. And you see that I'm not going to the end. Now another one, a thing that I realized that I actually just did wrong and also didn't share, is this is the center. So this leaf should not, the petals should, the veining, if you will, or the texture shouldn't go down like this. It should go towards the center. So I'm just going to amend my mistake quickly. Good morning to me. And this one, I'm just patting down because it's very small space. If you go over the line, it's okay, you can just clean it up. But there's that. So it's a very, very small space there. Let me see if I can zoom in. Oh, wait, there we go. I think that'll do. Nee. This got stuck to the towel, so I'm not going to mess about with it. It can stay. Now, that leaf is still underneath all of them, and it's going off the cookie. So I'm just going to add my icing sugar to the edge. And I'm going to add quite a bit. And just brushing over it, pulling it down. There I went over the line, so I'm just guiding it back. And I'm going to start going like this towards my center. There we go. I want a little bit more because it's not going all the way to where I want it to. So we'll give it a bit of a boost, if you will. Okay, so it's gone over that. I'm just wiping my brush, and then I'm going to drag it over the part where I don't want the icing to be, so I can pick it all up, clean it off in the water, and then just drying it off. Okay, I'm just checking my lines are all in the right direction. Clean that off again. Much happiness. Okay, so let's see. These, there's a petal behind this, but it's also going off. So I'm first going to do that so it's out of the way. And I'm going to add a whole little wall of icing there, keeping in mind where my lines are. I'm just going to gently pat that down. I want a little bit more there. That's okay. And then I am just wiping that away, cleaning off my brush and drying it a bit. So this leaf or petal and this petal is also underneath, so we'll be doing them next. Again, I'm only going to add icing on the outside. I do not bring it in because the brush will do that for me. and then I don't have excess icing where I don't need it. If your lines are showing, that's all fine, because we're going to add depth to it later in any case. And this is much darker. I made it darker so that you can see it on the video as well. Okay, keeping in mind where I'm going with this. So this is a very strange angle to get into. I'm just going to brush over that, not keeping in mind the lines. I just want icing there, and then I can come back and drag them where I need them to be. But I'm quite happy with that, especially as this is a peony and their petals do go all over the place. Gives you that little bit of freedom. Okay, so this is the part of the petal that's curling over. So I will be doing that last. I'm going around it. And this is a big petal. So don't be shy with the icing. I'm just going to turn my cookie around to make it easier to work with. I just want to push that back and keep in mind where it's going. I want to clean off my brush. Just put that. Excuse. So every here and there I am pressing my brush a little bit harder to make those little ruffles and indentation, much like you would have done with brush embroidery blah, blah, but not quite the same. So we're dragging it a lot further down, and that looks gorgeous. So I went over this part smooth. Just going to mend that. Oh no, that's fine. I just want to add more icing to this. So this part is going over. Woo! Almost lost the brush. So I also like to just drag it over. Oh, what? I don't know, press it between my fingers so it flattens. And just making sure that it's attached everywhere. And I'm going to poke it a little bit so it goes in. But now remember, even though it looks like there should be like a hollow little bit underneath there, it's not how we do it in bas-relief. There will be icing underneath that, and this part will be folded over. You will see it more with these larger parts and these side ones as well. This, if you were wondering why there's 1s and 2s, I just did that to assist the class in kind of, if you forget, or if you know when you're in the mission and you kind of forget what you're busy with because you're so in the zone, this will help you to just say, okay, no, these ones I have to do first, then this is the second layer and the next layer, and so on. Okay, so we have all the far back ones, this one is going underneath that one, so I'll be doing that one next, and so on. So this is where, as you can see in this picture, it's where that leaf is kind of curling over. So I will not put icing on that immediately, but just next to it. And also again in a line down, I am not putting icing on the inner or the side lines. With my brush, damp it off, remember where my center is, and this is also a very tight space. So I'm pretty much just dabbing the icing down, very little dragging. And now for that part, so I'm putting more pressure on the thicker bits and less pressure on the thinner bits. What I will do is just make sure that it's all flush against the cookie and not have parts standing in the air. And then I will add another line on top of that, sort of to the side. So this will look like it's curling in. But again, just very softly dabbing and brushing over where they come together, so it looks like one. I'm pressing my brush a little bit underneath to bring it up, and then I will let it set and then come back later to see if it needs another layer on the wall. Okay, next will be that. Well, yeah, we can do this one next because it's a very stiff consistency and they're not going to go into each other. But sometimes it's better not to work straight next to the next one or straight next to the previous one, as they might blend in or you might mess up one that's not properly set yet. Okay, remembering where we're going to, and just coloring this in. I added icing on the sides. Are you kidding me? So I'm just pushing it back. And correcting the lines. And adding some texture. I can always drag it back if I drag it down too much. So keep that in mind as well. And then I'm going to turn and add all of this. So it's here. You can see it's a sort of a two-part, so it's there and there, not the whole thing. Ah, and I already kind of made a mistake there. Smooth. Just cover that. Make sure it's clean. So it's there and there. Okay. So I'm going to press and then I'm coming back over again and back over again. And then with this one as well. But that's not set. So I have to be careful. And over again. And there we go. Now I'm gonna flatten my brush again and just, it's to dry ever so gently. Just make sure they're all one. So this comes out thinner. It's okay. And I want to make sure that it's attached to the cookie. And I'm just going to bring it up a little bit, making sure everything is combined. There. Just pushing it in here and there to make it more curly looking. Then I'm going to do this big one, and it's also going off the cookie, so I'll just add where I can. Minding my center. Okay, I firstly made sure that I've covered the whole petal. Now I'm going to clean that off, and I'm going to add some more because it needs to go over those two. Like so. I think I need to just add a little bit more there, just to make it more obvious that it is above the previous petal. There we go. Okay, and because it's quite a bit off the cookie, I am going to just push it back. This way the ones that need to be up and going is exactly where they're meant to be, and the one that's going off can do that, or the parts that's off. Okay, there we go. I think that looks good. Now these ones are going over that, this is going over that, so I can I want those to set a little bit, so I'll be working on this one for now. And I'm going to start halfway there, never all the way. Well, probably not never, but not one that I can think of now. Because it's such a big petal, I want to make sure that I have enough icing. How do you like my squigglies? So I want to make sure that that is lifted. And brush is getting too dry. Still going in the right direction. And I need to pull down quite a bit more icing to cover all the way. There we go. It's pretty. I really enjoy this technique. And decorating cookies. It's just so much fun. And you can see that it's really going where I want it to. Now I'm going to work on this one. It's going all the way over, and I went too far there. It should go only halfway, but that's okay because I can just do that. So it's a small space again. I'm going to flatten this brush and then just dab, dab, dab-a-roo. So I want to make sure that there's enough icing there. Okay, and it goes all the way down here. There we go. And now this one. So again, I'm just adding icing underneath where we're going to build up, if you will, that wall. Sorry, that's my alarm. And just keeping in mind where I'm going. That's make that distinction there because that petal is not very visible. Let me see, that looks good. No, I think it should go all the way in here though. Don't know how I managed that. There we go. Now, for the curly part, I am pressing quite a bit of icing, as you can see. And then on the edge, I will make a thinner one. And then just gonna tilt this cookie a little bit so that you can see how I just very gently make sure that it's flush and one, so that you don't see that there were two lines added. And you can see on this inside there's also a defined line. I don't want that. I'm just very gently smoothing it out. Very gently. Okay. So because I did that, it went back again. So I'm just combing over and just brushing over it so that it goes in words. Okay, guys. Next, we're going to do these two. Oh, I suppose we can do those first. Let's do that. Why not? So this one, as you can see, it's going to go inwards. So you can't make a deep enough indentation or curve to have that look. It needs support. After all, this is just icing. So first of all, we need to do the inner part. So I'm just coloring this in with some icing so that there's a petal. Okay. I think it would be so pretty if it's like pink or something and it just fades, you know. So that's my inside. And I am going up and down while pushing, pressing hard on my icing just to cover all of that. Okay, and I'm going to go over it again. This one is going over that. So now, again, I want to make these inner lines one. So to make it easy, I just swiped over there and then cleaned it up there. I'm also just going to go over there just to smooth it out. And with the peony, you don't have to make it too smooth because they have a lot of texture in the leaves, as you may know. So you can see this petal goes in and out. So I'm just gonna kind of press in, but not all the way, and then brush the parts over so that we have that. And you can play around. It doesn't always have to be exact unless you've been commissioned to make something exact. Good luck with that. Okay. I'm gonna make this one, and I'm going to put a thick layer of icing all the way through. So I'm basically coloring it in. Okay. Just gonna I'm gonna damp it down or pat it down just to make sure it's the correct shape and everything is attached where it should be. And then I'm gonna add another layer. Like this. I'm gonna bring in the big guns. Big guns have some gold on them. Okay. I am pretty happy with the look. So I'm gonna add just another layer. A little bit inwards, so not completely on the edge, as you can see. It's about 2 mil from the edges, so I'm making a smaller pattern on the inside of that one. And let me just make this brush, or wet this brush, damp it off, and that's gonna help so much, as you can see. So even though this looks like it's curved, it's solid, you know. So this goes in underneath that. I'm going to use the finer brush to achieve that, because I can feel that I'm making a mess. I'm just going to pull some of this icing because I can add more. Just want to sort out this part. Just flatten that. Shame. This brush looks like it's had better days. That's what icing can do to you, nay? So that goes over that. Perfect. Now I just want to smooth that out. Make sure all those lines are where they should be. And I think that's good. Let me just fidget a little bit longer. And I'm going to use this one just to create some extra texture. Maybe bring a little bit back. For another little curve, and that's gorgeous. I like that. I'm happy with that. I'm going to continue to this one now. Somehow I've got like a few things for lost in translation. I'm gonna use a pencil because it's next to me. It's lead free. Okay, so relax. I know, I see what's happening. Okay, never mind. It's finished. This icing just had to come. Okay, now I'm on the same page as myself. I'm gonna add this one in now. Sorry for the confusion. It happens. There's very many petals. But this one is then this little pattern here. So with these, I'm going all the way around because I am completely coloring them in and building up. I'm straight gonna go to my broader brush, just getting it damped, making it damp. Okay, for those tiny position, or yeah, for those little parts I'll use the thinner brush. I'm not gonna go crazy. So just to lift the cookie, I'm pressing this in, but as you can see, it's not hollow. There's lots of icing backing it up, as you saw when I added it. Just a smaller brush, and I'm just going to add or get those stuck on there, and I think that looks good. So this probably goes like this way. Just gonna add some texture there and push this back a little bit to get the shape I'm looking for, and bring this over a little bit more. And I'm actually quite happy with that because, okay, no, wait, this one is going over there, so I am going to let that kind of fade out a tiny bit, and that can stay there because this is going over that again. Now I'm going to do these two, and again they are coming out like this, so they are going to be solid as well. Okay, shame. Didn't do the best job on that, but I can fix it. Yay! So that will be the first layer. Not going to spend too much time on that. Am I telling myself? And then the second layer. So because it's going like this, I'm going to add, I did a full one, so I'm going to add to this half up. So it gives you the illusion of curving in, which means it's going to be this part. Huh? Do I have a clock? What's going on here? Okay, we're back in business. So it's gonna be this part. And geez, let me lose my fingers. I look like an icing mannequin. Okay. There we go. So my lines will be going like this. I'm not going to add too many. Okay. I'm happy with that. I would, however, like to just kind of bring it over, but we will add some more on there, just on the outer edge. So literally I'm just letting one line of icing fall. I am making a little bit of curve there, and then I'm just going to pat it down so that it also becomes one. Ta-da! Okay, I'm happy with that. Let me just... So now this one is also coming up. So I'm gonna completely color it in. Hey, just want to make my little lines. Okay, there we go. Completely color it in. Hello. And flatten this one. That already looks pretty cool. So, clean that off, dry it off, and then I'll add some more here, just on the edge. And then just make sure that there's no lines where we don't want them. And if you're finding it hard to work with your icing, just clean off your brush and dry it off quickly so that it's nice and damp, and that really helps a lot. So this goes over there. Just want to neaten it up a bit. Isn't that beautiful? How am I gonna get this off? I don't know. Luckily it's pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna make a few of these balls and then I will do that. So I'm just, because this icing is such a thick consistency, I can just go and make them next to each other, which would not be the case if it was a little bit looser, as they would just blend into each other. But with this, that's not the problem. The only problem will be, however, that it makes nasty little points. And I'm just going to use my damp brush to pat them down, and then happiness. Yeah, I think that looks good. Just need a couple more. And get rid of those pointies. And now we are gonna go over that. I'm gonna just create my outline for this one so that I've got some guidance. And I think it's underneath this one a little bit, as you can see here, but it's not so far over that I made too much of a mistake. I'll show you now what we're gonna do. Okay, first of all, I am going to just add a whole bunch of icing in here. Sorry. Whoopsie. That was not supposed to happen. Come back. Let me just add icing like this. Icing, 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 icing. I am not adding that icing underneath. I will guide it with the brush. But I need to add a whole bunch of icing. I'm going to stop for a second and just flatten them all out a wee bit so that I can see where I am with the amount of icing that I'm just pressing underneath my other petal very lightly. I'm trying not to mess around there too much because I might end up making them one. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is start building more on the outer edges because I think they need a little bit of love there. No? This one can come in a bit, but I'll do that with the brush. And then sort of in the center upwards. First gonna use my big brush. Okay, so these are gonna go downwards a little bit. Okay, smaller brush, patting it down, and now I am going to try to make those lines. Paint the brush so it's got like sharper edges that helps me get into these little tight spots. Okay. I think that looks amazing. Let me just clean this up. This I want to curve in just a little bit more, so I'm just going to push this back. Weten that brush and slowly do some lines. As if I go too fast, it drags too much of the icing down. Okay. And that's it. That's gorgeous. So now you can leave it to set a little bit, and in the meanwhile we'll get back to the leaves. The leaves, I'm just going to add some icing. So you can add like full icing exactly where everything is if you want. I don't want that. I want it to look a little bit vintage-ish. This, I'm going to add thick lines. Come on. Trying to place them. But they seem to have a mind of their own today. Many days, in all honesty, but it's okay. We'll manage. I'm just going to fiddle around with this a little bit. I'm not trying to be perfect, just having fun. But each to their own. And then a little one here. And then I am going to add gold, that gold powder. So I've got a brush that's already been golded, and instead of using whatchamacallit, of using glaze, I'm going to use straight up water. So if you want solid colors, then using glaze will be best for you. Whoopsie. But I don't want that. I made a mess. Can you believe it? I wonder where's the soft... Oh, this is a dry brush anyway. This is set quite a bit, so yeah, I luckily managed to get rid of most. So I'm just in between where the shading falls, adding a little bit of gold lines, just kind of to give it that extra oomph, if you will. It's very light. You can use browns and whatever color you wish, maybe with a little bit of blue. Not so much that you would realize it, but it does make a difference. Just here and there. Oopsie. Then obviously the center. This is still pretty wet, so will probably be ideal if you wait a little bit, but it's not. Yeah, okay, this one is really wet. But for the video's sake, I want to finish. There's people waiting for this video. And yeah, that's it. I'm gonna add a little bit of gold there. Let me see. Maybe like a little bit there. Just kind of smudging that to give me the older look. Brush over here. This is way too to brush, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it for you. So there we go. Gorgeous bas-relief cookie. Hope you enjoyed this video. You can check out my channel for more tutorials. I'll add as many as I can every month. So have a look at. And if you'd be so kind as to like and subscribe, it really helps out and I will very much appreciate it. Have a blessed day. Ciao.